I think the school board has meetings on Monday nights too, so we can never make it.
That's the thing. We used to run on opposite Mondays. When I was at the newspaper, I think they were second, fourth Mondays, and we were first and third. So every Monday I was covering a meeting, but I think they shifted their schedule, they go first and third, same as we do now.
Yeah, if you.
I will too, start a new business.
Or you can table it, they're not in the next 6 months.
6 p.m. we'll call the meeting to order, start by saying pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start off with approval of meeting minutes. Welcome everyone. We'll go for August 4th regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 4th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Questions? If not, Ryan, please call the vote.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Pat Freck,
Yes.
Brandon Seifert,
Yes.
Brett Hyde.
Yes. Moving on to August 18th executive session.
Make a motion to approve the August 18th executive session meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Questions? Seeing none, Ryan.
Discussion is please add Darren Vogt
Yes.
to the record.
Okay. So that's down. Okay. That's taken care of. Ryan, please call the vote.
Pat Freck,
Yes.
Brandon Seifert.
Yes.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Brett Hyde.
Yes. Moving on to claims, approval of general water, sewer, and payroll for August 18th, 2025 statement.
I make a motion to approve the claims for general water, sewer, and payroll on August 18th, 2025, in the amount of $1,346,879.94.
I'll second.
Questions by anyone? Seeing none, Ryan, please call the vote.
Brandon Seifert,
Yes.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Pat Freck,
Yes.
Brett Hyde.
Yes. Okay, so I've been asked, and I'll put this up to council, if we move up the discussion in front of new business, or we can table it. Move it up?
I'm fine with that.
Yes. I am too.
All right, then we will move up one item from old business to the top for new business, and that'll be Willow Creek Middle School connection tap fee discussion.
I have for you guys, it's in your packet, but it's sideways, I printed it out for you. The breakdown of the fees that you saw yesterday, or a few weeks ago, with the addition of a new table, I guess. So, Northwest Allen County School at your guys' last meeting requested that the meeting be tabled so that they could, or the discussion item be tabled so they could take it back, look at the numbers, see what it means for them. They provided a timeline of their pre-construction activities, so all the way from acquiring the site to beginning construction. And then they also have asked, so if you look in front of you at the spreadsheet, there's 3 tables. The first is what Northwest Allen County Schools was quoted in January 2024 for water and sewer connection fee, and that was at a 1 ERU count. If you look at the table to the right of it, that would be if those fees had been correctly calculated with the proposed or estimated 37 ERUs, what that would have been. And then the table on the bottom is the current 2025 fees per our currently enacted ordinance. The biggest difference would be there's the water system development charge, and the sewer system development charge has moved to a per ERU basis. That's why there's a big jump between the correctly calculated in early 2024 to the current fees per ordinance. Northwest Allen County Schools has requested, they say they respectfully request either considering charging schools for a single ERU basis, or they respectfully request consideration of the January 2024 fee structure as correctly quoted. So that'd be that second table furthest to the right. You heard Mike at the last meeting say the best thing to do legally would be to assess fees per the ordinance. So I think not to, make it super concise, but the question before you guys today is if you would like to change the ordinance to make an exemption for schools, because they're schools, they pay with taxpayer money, they'd be contributing to the growth of our town, whatever reason you find viable. So, let me know if you have any questions.
Were they ever planning on coming and speaking at a meeting, or is it just communication through you?
Yeah, they asked if they would, if they needed to be here tonight, but they had a school board meeting at the same time, that they said they could be, but I told them the question isn't so much a question for Northwest Allen, it's a question on how you want to apply your ordinance. So there's not a lot that Northwest Allen would be able to answer besides the obvious asks of, either switching to a 1 ERU basis or some other lower number, or, applying those 2024 fees as correctly calculated.
Hey Brad, can I address on this topic?
I would like to, since he is the USD president, he has every right to be part of this since they gave a 3-0 due pass recommendation to charge the ERUs in their correct balance.
Because you guys have additional information that we were never given when we made our recommendation, just as FYI, because I'm saying that's one reason I wanted to talk. Second is when we voted to recommend that you guys don't change it, and it stripped out of fairness there. The growth has to be paid for somehow, right? A taxpayer is paying for that growth no matter how it's paid for, right? And we've always said, my neighbors next to me shouldn't have to pay for the infrastructure, right? Because they've already paid that for the town. So that's why I believe that, and the three of us on the board said that we should not make an exemption. Because I just feel very honest, that's just not right. We didn't make it for anyone else. I think government should pay by the same rules as private citizens. And when the developers came in, they were upset because we had the ordinance, which we voted for, we recommended, so, but they were upset because they had planning as well, didn't they? They bought all that land and the ordinance was passed and we required them to pay it. Now I'm saying, I don't have children. So at some point, if we don't receive those funds for the growth, somebody's gonna pay for it. And it's either those connection fees or not. And I get where they're coming from with this, same as I got where the developers were coming from. But I'm applying the same reason I did when we recommended passing that ordinance last year. So I think it'd be very unfair to carve out exemptions. Because, maybe we need to do that for the fire stations, police stations. What government entity do we stop carving out these exemptions? So that's just, I wanted to share it with you guys. And once again, I don't have the numbers that she's given you. We just saw I don't remember, 15,000 and the larger number, so when we approved it. You're gonna look at this one, I'll go back. You're good. I just want to share that because that's where we thought, if you're gonna pass something, you stick with it. That's just but thank you for letting me talk.
Thanks, Tony.
I have a question. So I'm gonna kind of preface it by saying this in regards to the timetable. So 2015, IURC ruling came out. June was pretty much a slam dunk for Huntertown. And so that allowed us to pave our way to build our wastewater treatment plant that we hadn't had since 1987, 1988. So at that time, there were developers that had developments that could not move. And they were waiting on to see who was gonna win the fight in the courts and through the IURC. And I remember, it wasn't 2015, might have been 2016, but maybe 2015, 2016, we had the developer community come because they had asked to be grandfathered in regards to some of the charges. And at that time, and Jamie Lancier was one that had spoke about that because of everything already being done, contracts already signed, they were not allowed to be grandfathered in. We moved forward to 2021, November 15th. We had, in the meeting minutes, we had resident Jerry Banatsky He came before county council, and, he was the one that was building the Red River, or sorry, the Yellow Ribbon Community Homes over there off of Lima.
You're talking about J.R. Parent?
J.R. Parent. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. And his request was the same. There were certain fees that we had amended for development, and he was asking for the same thing, basically what the school's asking now. And he came before council, and he was asking to waive the town's system development charge at that time of the 16-unit Yellow Ribbon apartment development. Mike Akers second, Derek advised at that time, at the next council meeting, was that Derek advised the council as to the precedent that approving the waiver request may set for other developers, and about how that he did not want to go down that path. Fast forward to last year, with the developments off of Hand Road, things were already sold, T's were crossed, I's were dotted. We had the developer come before the council asking if he could be grandfathered in to the costs, because they had not planned for that. And they were originally quoted the same ERU basis too, if you want to think about it in those terms. But yet, at that time, we did not allow, the majority voted, and we would not allow them to be grandfathered in. So now we fast forward to now. With everything that we went through last year as a community and as town officials, you know, we set up certain ordinances with the capital improvements, you know, layout with what needed for the town, the growth pays for growth model, and then that's when they came up with the $2,500 for the system development charge. And then we amended that this year, and basically to do it per ERU, so that way we can get the most for, you know, our capital improvements projects. So we need to go by the books, and whether or not it's a school, whether or not it's this government group or that government group, we have to treat everybody fair. Because who is, just like what Tony had said, where's the burden going to lie with the makeup? Because look at the revenue that we would be losing if we only charge them one ERU at $15,739. But if we charge them the correct amount of ERUs as per our ordinance, then they would have to pay $270,479.15. So, you know, the reason why we have this capital improvements project list and why we have the system development charge is because of our issues with our capacity with water. So if that's the case, then why are we going backwards, or what possibly going backwards, by only charging them one ERU and not the amount that they're going to use? Where's the deficit of that balance going to go to? It's not gonna go to the school, because they're not gonna pay it. We're gonna have to eat that cost, and then in turn, does that mean that possibly water rates are gonna have to go up again? Or sewer rates, because we're not adequately charging from the very beginning the correct amount of ERUs and the water usage that they're gonna be using? Because we're only possibly going to allow them to only have one tap fee, you know, one ERU. So I was always told, moving forward to the Shops at Copper Creek developers, that whatever Beth had promised them or told them in emails, that never came before council, so we can't take that as word. I mean, that was mentioned to me all last year and this year so far, that, you know, if that was done without council's approval or even council recommendations. So if we're now doing this, when Beth had no idea that we'd have a system development charge, you know, in April or May, whenever we did that, then she was just doing her job at the time with the information that she had at the time. Just like in the past, when it came to the IORC ruling and the issues that came up after that with wanting to be grandfathered in, to the Yellow Ribbon Apartments issue that, you know, they were not allowed to be grandfathered in and had to pay the exact cost, and we wouldn't give them any breaks at all in connection fees. And then last year, with the developer that, you know, again, didn't know that we were gonna have a system development charge, but then at fact, he had to pay the difference with what he had already had out. So, we're gonna have to pick and we shouldn't have to pick and choose. I don't think we should. And with having Derek saying what he said, you know, but how much this is gonna be a precedent that he said back in 2021 after COVID, then we need to keep that up with that same mindset that we don't wanna go down that road, that we wanna make sure that we're charging, no matter who you are, residential or commercial or schools, the correct amount of ERUs and making sure that we're getting exactly what we should be getting, because again, where's that we're gonna have a deficit if we don't, and so where are we gonna make that money on that? And I wish Tina was here too, so that way she could hear this.
Any further discussion? Motions? Anybody here make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion, there's no ordinance or anything though,
I'm
is there?
just looking for it, yeah.
Nope, it's just how you wanna, if you would want to do an amendment to the ordinance, I would say make a motion to direct us to begin that process. If you wanna do one of the fees that's in front of you, a simple motion won't do work.
I'll make a motion, to, require Willow Creek Middle School, to pay, in accordance with our current ordinance, the fees that are outlined, and assuming, there are 37 ERUs. The total for that would be the $270,479.15.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
So just so like that, I'm understanding that we're gonna charge them the correct amount of ERUs as it stands, whether that be 37 or whatever that number is.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes,
That's how the ordinance stands?
yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Okay, perfect, okay.
Any further discussion? Brian, please call the vote.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Pat Freck,
Yes.
Brandon Seifert.
Yes.
Brad Howe.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, back to new business, town council ordinance 2025-011 floodplain.
Alright, I believe the staff are from DPS is here and maybe also the surveyor's office is here. But I'll provide a high overview and then they can answer your questions. So there's two floodplain, related ordinances in front of you. The first is is proposing transferring floodplain administrative duties from the Department of Planning Services to the surveyor's office. From what I've heard in public meetings, you know, it makes sense, the surveyor's office handles stormwater management, but this fits very well into their duties, and everything like that. And then I guess I'll speak on the second one when we get there, but, Patrick or Laura, if you have anything to add, please.
You mean, Patrick Reed, Department of Planning Services. Yeah, so the planning element of this would be that we would repeal the floodplain section from the Allen County zoning, or the Huntertown zoning ordinance. And once it's repealed, then we would be transferring duties to the Allen County Surveyor's Office. And in order to do that, what they are requesting of you is there's basically a single page kind of document that points to their new Allen County Surveyor's Office floodplain ordinance. So it's pretty strict.
Yeah.
You can't create a new ordinance with the Allen County Surveyor's Office till we get rid of the one in the Huntertown ordinance, so.
I make a motion to introduce town council ordinance 2025-011 floodplain amendment.
I'll second.
Discussion? Brian, please call the vote.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Pat Freck,
Yes.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Brad Hike?
Yes.
Make a motion to consider ordinance number 2025-011.
I'll second.
No discussion, Ryan, please call the vote.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Mike Aker?
Yes.
Brad Hike?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2025-011 floodplain amendment.
I'll second.
Still no discussion on that, Ryan, please call the vote.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Mike Aker?
Yes.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brad Hike?
Yes. Moving on, Town Council Ordinance 2025-012, flood hazards for Hunter Town.
So this is the second half of that. I have lost it, there's too many ordinances in here. Essentially, so we currently participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. This is just stating that we want to continue participating in that program with the newly adopted, Allen County Surveyor's ordinance for floodplain management.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2025-012 flood hazards within Huntertown.
Second.
Discussion, Ryan, please call the vote.
Mike Aker?
Yes.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Brad Hike?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to consider ordinance number 2025-012.
I'll second.
Discussion, Ryan, please call the vote.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Mike Aker?
Yes.
Brad Hike?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-012.
Second.
I got Brandon on the second.
No discussion, Ryan, please call the vote.
Brandon Seifert? Yes. Mike Aker?
Yes.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brad Hike?
Yes. Okay, change order number 10, Carroll Road reconstruction.
So this should be the last change order for the Carroll Road reconstruction project that you see. It's very long because it is, evening out all of the overages and underages of, the project. So quantities that were used over, or quantities that were not used being credited back to the town. This was in a report, recently, where this change order, along with a good handful of other change orders that they have to come before council, are eligible for that 80-20 split. We worked with NERC and found additional federal funding for it. So there's only one change order that has gone before you guys that would not be eligible, and this is one that is eligible. So if you scroll all the way down, the total value is $175,749.38, and that accounts for underruns, that's what I was looking for, underruns and overages for the Carroll Road reconstruction project.
I can't find the total.
It's on page 10,
Oh, wait.
middle of the
There it is.
page,
Hidden, yeah, they're hidden in there.
total value.
I will make that motion to approve change order number 10 for the Carroll Road reconstruction. The amount is $175,749.38.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Ryan, please call the vote.
Mike Aker?
Yes.
Pat Freck?
Yes.
Brandon Seifert?
Yes.
Brad Hike?
Yes. Okay, Huntertown CCMG 2025-2, Apollo Drive, street improvements, engineering agreement.
Good evening, everyone. Stephen Cranius with Engineering Resources. So, some quick background on this project. The Community Crossings Matching Grant Program is a funding agency from NDOT for local communities, and we've kind of been a part of it for the past few years, and it's been around for several years. But this past year, it went through some changes across how it's being used and utilized, and so there's some changes to the funds that are available and dispersed, but then one of the significant changes as well is the scheduling on how they're doing things. So the communities are now strongly encouraged to be bid ready with their projects upon award. Whereas before, we were kind of in a very preliminary stage when those awards came through. Now they're kind of emphasizing shovel-ready projects, which means you've got to design it and have it ready for all of that before you know that you're going to be awarded the matching grant funds. So there is some risk there, but in order to be kind of confident and kind of take our best swing at this, that's why we're here now, as opposed to later on down the road, to kind of present this proposal, to go ahead, do the design, and get these plans ready for this application process. So this project is on Apollo Drive, which is a part of Hunter Park neighborhood, which is where they're currently in construction on last year's CCMG project on Mercury and Gemini. And so this will be the third street of the three in that neighborhood. And so the proposal that you have before you is for a total of $92,400 for us to go ahead and do the design and get plans ready so that we can go through the application and get this project ready.
Is there gonna be, it's more than just the streets though, right? Does that include the engine, or design's gonna include like stormwater, sidewalks?
Yes. Yep.
It'll
replace the
be similar
sidewalks
to what's being constructed out there
On the
right now.
other two.
A full reconstruction of the roadway with the sidewalks and stormwater.
Okay, I think one of the other two streets have the, stormwater issue though too, rolled in, right?
Yes, so that was on, the one that runs straight,
That's
is
a,
it Mercury? Mercury
Oh.
is the straight one, and Gemini comes around.
Gemini is the straight one.
Straight, okay, so on Gemini, I mixed the two roads, but anyway, they have a really low spot there in the hills, and that's where the surveyor's office project is also happening, right there. They're bringing their storm line up to be able to collect water from that low point.
okay,
But between those two projects that are happening, stormwater should be okay.
okay,
And so this project will just be to reconstruct Apollo Drive, which is the main entrance coming off of Old Lima. But it doesn't have the same flooding issues as the other two roads,
oh my gosh,
to my understanding.
how many years has it been since?
15.
Yeah.
15 years ago,
That's what I keep hearing, it's been a really
Yeah.
long time.
yeah,
50, 60 years old.
Yeah, something like that. It's,
Motions, questions, discussions?
I'll make a motion for Huntertown CCMG 2025-2 Apollo Drive Street Improvement Engineering Agreement in the amount of $92,400.
I'll second,
Any further discussion? Ryan, please call the vote.
Pat Freck,
yes,
Brent Seifert,
Yes.
Mike Aker,
Yes.
Brett Height.
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. Closes out new business unless council member has something else. Moving on to old business, all we have left there is town council ordinance 2025-009, amending chapter 154 of the town of Huntertown ordinance.
This is the, various zoning amendments, or amendments to your zoning ordinance that were kind of all lumped together, that you saw 2 meetings ago, and UPS is here to give an overview.
Again, Patrick Career, Department of Planning and Services, thank you for this opportunity. I believe it was last month we were here, with this amendment, gave you the rundown on that. Previously had been up before you with some preliminary, rundowns on these summaries. There was some discussion last month, particularly about container homes and ADUs. I'm not gonna go through the whole summary again unless you want me to. It's my understanding that, there's still some maybe uncertainty surrounding ADUs and container homes. I'd like to make a proposal, before you, tonight, specifically as it pertains to accessory dwelling units and ADUs. And you can think about this as we're talking, but let's start with ADUs. So, my understanding is that there's some concern about ADUs on the smaller lots in your community. And maybe not so much on some of the larger lots that, might be able to more appropriately accommodate an accessory dwelling unit. And, as you're aware, I'm sure we do have some developers that are proposing developments in the county, that are in areas that are serviced by Huntertown utilities and are ripe for annexation if you so choose to annex that. What we've done in the past is, where we could do a kind of hybrid, sorry, I was trying to come on to get that word out, a hybrid approach here where, we would permit, ADUs in scenarios where you have a lot size over a certain square footage. And, just, spitballing here, I mentioned 15,000 square feet, but maybe 3 times the current minimum lot size of 18,000 square feet. Did a little bit of research back there while y'all were talking about some of these previous cases. Some of the larger subdivision lots in these newer additions where they are doing like large accessory, allowing and permitting large accessory garages, like toy sheds kind of things. There was the smallest square footage you could find was like mid-17s. So my recommendation, if you're comfortable with this, would be that you would allow them in the scenario where it's over a certain lot size. I mean, 16,000, 18,000, you can kind of deliberate on that. That's a big lot. This is like Aslan Passage size lots. And then, anything less than that would require a special use, which is a public hearing through the Board of Zoning Appeals, which you all would be notified of and have an opportunity to make a formal recommendation as a full board, or just direct town manager to write a letter without a formal action, but it would be a public hearing. Which with the special use requirements, we can usually add, whenever you have a special use, it brings in criteria for which you need to consider when you're approving it. One of the biggest ones is compatibility, okay? And so on every single one of these, we take them on a case-by-case basis, lot-by-lot basis. We hold a public hearing, we weigh the applicant's presentation, we weigh formal recommendation to or against from town, and the board would act. But I do know that the Board of Zoning Appeals does weigh heavily our towns and cities that they represent, more heavily than the applicant in a lot of cases. So I can't guarantee that they're not gonna approve one if they feel it is appropriate, but typically they do weigh heavily. Specifically, we get a lot more applications in Huntertown than we do any of the other communities, and Dana will even tell you in the last year that they do weigh these things. They do weigh your opinion on those pretty heavily. So that would be my recommendation to you on the ADUs, would be that you maybe take a hybrid recommendation change to the ordinance to permit anything over a certain square footage of lot size, not ADU size, of lot size, and then anything that is under that square footage would require special use. So that would be my recommendation to you all on, as it pertains to ADUs. I think that's a good balance. It kind of protects you more on the smaller lots in your community, still requiring public hearings if somebody wants to do one. Usually what we would do, and I'll just throw this out there, but usually when we have people come in and ask us, they tell us that they want to do something, what we usually do is say, it would be a really good idea if you went and presented your petition, your request before the town, they come up and talk to you, and so you're aware of what they want to do before they even file anything to us. That's assuming they come and talk to us first, but in the scenario where it would be less than that square footage, yes, we want you to, go talk to the town, it's gonna go to a public hearing, you're gonna want to get their support, so do everything you can to give them all the information they need in that scenario. So that's accessory dwelling units. Now, container homes, on my understanding, that's the other concern from our discussions. It's currently drafted in the ordinance that every single container home requires a special use. So again, it's following that same hearing process that the ADUs are. So every single container home that would be submitted to our office for a permit would require a public hearing through the Board of Zoning Appeals for a special use. In that scenario, we've laid out specific standards. It has to be a type of grade A shipping container. It couldn't be used to transport hazardous materials. It has to be constructed in conformance with the Indiana's 1 and 2 family dwelling code. it has to be at least 700 square feet, that's just our minimum square footage for a single family house at the moment. It has to be, one or more sections, and my understanding is that, you can't get a container that's 700 square feet, so it's usually gonna be 2. And then, it has to have a roofing material of a type customarily used in dwellings constructed on site. So metal roof, pitched, flat, whatever it is, but it's gotta be a customary, something you'd see on a normal house, okay? And then, it can't be constructed with the chassis left, so it has to be constructed on a permanent, foundation that would, a normal single-family residence would be constructed of, or on. And it has to be, so those are the primary things. And so what the special use does is it lays those things out, so automatically you have a checklist, you meet all of these things, okay? And then when you go for the special use, now we're looking at is compatible. Is this container home compatible with whatever homes are in the neighborhood or next door? If it's more rural, maybe you just have a couple houses in the area. Now you're looking at compatibility, and the board's looking at compatibility. So we already have it set up there. So then my next thing is that there might be some concern about, what if somebody wants to do a full development of these? Okay? Now, in that scenario, unless you have ground that's already large enough to support a development of that size, say 15, 20, 25 of these things, that's already zoned R1, that supports subdivisions, it's gonna have to go through a rezoning process. So it'd be a primary plat, right? Like you see primary plats come through, or secondary plats come through here, with a rezoning to R1. So you can, as part of that rezoning, can consider, the type of development that's going in. So, but on top of that, you have a rezoning, you have a primary plat, but that'll also have to go through a secondary hearing to the Board of Zoning Appeals just to do container homes. We have a lot of protections here with the way this is set up currently for container homes. I don't really feel like, if you were just to say it's not permitted, I'm just gonna throw this out and say we don't want container homes at all. You can't do that, okay? There's always going to be some level of relief from the zoning ordinance. And so what is that relief? It's a use variance. Well, what board does a use variance go to? It goes to the Board of Zoning Appeals, the same board that's gonna hear the special use. So in our opinion, it's probably better to have clear standards like we do have laid out here for you, with what a container home has to be constructed of, how it has to look, that it has to be compatible. In all of these things, if you do a use variance and all that stuff, it's just the Wild West. You come with the use variance, they can submit whatever they want, just standard containers that don't have any improvements on them, and they just, what if it gets approved? Now you have a really, crummy looking one. So that, kind of my take on this is that maybe you leave the container home and the way it is, just because of the protections that special use provides here. But if you would like to discuss other alternatives, I'm happy to come up with some ideas with you here tonight, but I really feel like the best protections you have on container homes is the way it's drafted. And we did, just so you're aware, that we came up with this in Allen County to start with because we had a situation where somebody built a really bad one on Winchester Road, and it's horrible. I mean, it's exactly what you want to see. So we're like, okay, well, it's probably better if we define it and create standards for it than it is to just leave it the way it is. And that's kind of where you're at right now. Leave it the way it is where you end up with problem stuff. So
how do we take everything that you just said and put it into words?
You don't have to. I can lay it out for you. What? Words for emotion or words to
something to reference so it's in our standards.
What's already there in the summary for container homes, but are you referring,
like the,
help me out here, I guess I'm not.
Regarding the ADUs, everything that you had said, like your theory or your option that you.
The lot size
Yeah, so
that we
you feel
can,
that 80,000 square feet is
pretty big.
Well, it's 0.4 acres. My house is 0.4, my lot is 0.4.
Well, you have a perfect reference, how do
I
you
don't
think,
see a mother-in-law suite.
you don't think it fits there?
In the back there.
I mean, I guess what I have sitting there now would probably.
You're supposed to go where your pool is.
I just think that's.
Yeah, this is, that is the, and I can't, forgive me, I'm not as hip on always cross-referencing the wrong names of these subdivisions, but, the new Delagrange subdivision there with that really fancy.
The quarry.
Whisper
It's is it the preserves of the quarry, is it it's the one just north of the quarry?
Off of Fort Road or off?
Shadow Creek, yes, one with the floodplain behind the lots. The square footage that I was giving you does not include the floodplain after the lots. So those back lots, I think they are allowing for the large accessory structures in the back of the detached accessory structures. And, like I said, the smallest one in there was about 17,500 square feet.
It's how much?
17,500 square feet.
Okay.
So it sounds like really just coming up with that number of lot size and just going by from that and just adding that as an amendment to this.
Yeah, so anything over that number would be allowed. Like you can do an ADU in here. Anything, under that would require the public hearing through a special use.
So is that, can you amend, write up that amendment and bring that back to us and then we can approve this whole
I can just,
thing?
if you're
or
comfortable
what?
with it, I can just tell you what that would be and then,
and then it would go back to the planning commission and then back.
okay, cause then, yes, I'm
Oh,
sorry, we
I
got,
didn't see it in writing.
We're not ready to approve the changes then. This is just.
It would
No, I
be an
think you can-
amendment.
That's what he's
I think
saying.
you, yeah, no, I can help
We
you through
go
that.
ahead and do it.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
you don't have to have anything drafted in front of you, we can do it on the fly here and then we can go back and change it. It's very, I don't know if y'all paid attention to, the solar.
Yeah.
So we just did this, right? So we had, Planning Commission held the hearing for the solar. The Planning Commission sent a recommendation with changes to the ordinance to the commissioners. Commissioners said there were 2 changes they wanted to make. They sent it back to the Planning Commission and put it back the way it was originally drafted. Now, the Planning Commission, the County Planning Commission will have to either say, yes, we agree, or don't agree, but no matter what, the commissioners will have the final say. So you end up having the final say on this. So if you send something back to the Planning Commission, which is whatever amendments we do tonight to the ordinance, we'll go back to them, and I'll help Hannah draft that document. And then, they'll vote on it, the changes. More than likely, if that's your wish, they're gonna say, yep,
Okay.
we're good with that. And me being the one who's second in charge of the department, am telling you that we're okay with administering, for you all, this carve out. Okay?
So with the lot size, are you, I mean, when you're talking about that square footage, are you considering like a rectangular shaped lot, or are you talking like a cul-de-sac lot where it's very narrow up front and blows out wedge? Yeah, wedge, which doesn't matter, you just want to straight up square footage.
Yeah, man, it really doesn't, we don't really differentiate on the shapes of lots. It's just, I mean, especially in those big cul-de-sac ones, I mean, the backyard's huge, right? Where you probably have more impact is on the normal rectangular ones, so it's closer to your neighbor. Yeah, the ones I was cooking on weren't the they were the smaller ones that are along the road.
But even if it's like a funky shape, there's still setback requirements and
Yeah.
distances they have to comply with.
So I guess, think of a good number, lot size. So. 18, I'm good with 18.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I'm just gonna tell you too, and just in case you weren't aware, y'all can initiate changes whenever you want. So like if you decide that halfway through next year, you're like, you know what, this 18, it might be a little bit too much. We'd like that to be 16, or maybe it's not enough. We'd like it to be 25. You can vote and say, we'd like to initiate an ordinance change, send that to us, nothing else has to be done, we'll put it on the agenda and we will start that for you.
Just like hypothetically container homes, if we see an issue or something comes up, we can.
We can make
set- we can
changes,
say-
if maybe you want another standard, we can throw you know, if it's reasonable, you know, we could maybe add another standard to this, to consider as a special use. But we're pretty confident we've processed, like, if you count the triplexes we've done, over 15 of these things already. So, I mean, these standards work pretty well, we've, you know, we're rolling with it pretty good right now, so. Were there any other things that I did not bring up that you all had concerns with?
Those are the two things that we spoke on today, I know that.
Yeah, okay,
You've addressed them.
alright,
Sounds good, it's a good start.
alright.
Further discussion or motions?
I'll make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, introduce Town Council Ordinance 2025-008, amending chapter 154 of the Town of Huntertown Ordinance with the amended with the ADU section to the 18,000 square foot lot size.
009, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
said
Nice.
it. So 009, amending chapter.
Councilman Cypher, can I just expand on that a little bit? for
Yes,
clarity?
yeah,
Since
what was
we're,
that? Yeah.
we're gonna be drafting this, I just wanna make sure we're clear.
Okay.
Because I threw a lot at you. So, anything over 18,000 square feet, ADUs are good.
Correct, yes.
Anything less, special use.
Correct.
Perfect.
And anything under 18,000 will require special use.
Public hearing. Yep.
Public hearing.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will second the introduction.
No further discussion, Ryan, please call the vote.
Brandon Seifert,
Yes.
Mike Aker,
Yes,
Pat Freck,
Yes,
Brad Height.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to consider ordinance number 2025-009.
I'll second.
Discussion? Ryan, please call the vote.
Mike Aker,
Yes,
Pat Freck,
Yes,
Brandon Seifert.
Yes.
Brad Height.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number,
Is it an adoption, or I think you're,
This with the amendment, this whole amendment as it is. We need to adopt the amendment, is what you're asking.
no, I think I don't think you're adopting it yet. I think you're making an amendment, and that one amendment puts everything else on hold at this point.
Okay.
So you're not adopting it, you can weigh in on this, but maybe you
We're
need to
giving
do
you
it.
time to work now.
Yep, now we need to, you made the amendment, now you've sent it back to the planning commission. They'll now take it to the business meeting, act on the amendment, send back whatever recommendation they have, and then when you get it back, final action.
You can adopt it at that time.
September
You agree
2.
with this? That's
I'm
the,
not overly versed with their process versus our process. I know that you guys are allowed to introduce and amend an ordinance, and as you have, you had unanimous consent of everybody that's here tonight to consider waiving the second reading and move right to adoption, which they just did with that last vote. They had a super majority, they had 4 of 5 vote to move from consideration straight to adoption with that amendment included. So now.
so maybe, do they need it, I don't know.
No, they don't.
I don't think they
They
need-
don't have to move on to the adoption step if they don't want to.
Yeah, I think.
I don't know why you would have gone
We
through
can
the
wait.
consideration
I
step.
think
if
the
you
adoption
were
part
to
would,
adopt
I mean,
tonight,
where if you were to adopt something, you might say, we were gonna adopt everything but the change. But I think in this scenario, I think you take an action on amending what's before you, one change. And, now that goes back to county planning commission, and when they come back to you, then I think at that point, you would consider if they have any changes to that, or if they send it back and say, we agree, then that's when you would vote on a formal adoption.
Sounds good to me. Okay, that's fine. Good. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you so much for your patience and understanding.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks.
Okay, that closes out old business unless council has anything else. Moving on to reports, council members, anyone have any reports? Okay, resource officer?
All I have is an update. I talked to, Captain Utrecht. When it comes to the third officer, right now, we're at a manpower wait. We've got 4 currently at the academy waiting to come back at the end of this month. And then we've got to get them trained up. As soon as that happens, we will be seeing our third officer, be posted. So we're hoping not by the end of the year, we're hoping earlier than that, but that's probably the latest would be the end of the year. So they're working as fast as they can, but we've got a lot of retirements and manpower issues that we've got to catch up on before we can open up a spot for here.
Were the minutes accurate then, 2 weeks ago, when it said could be hired by the end of the month?
So that was initially what I was told, and then we had some quick retirements we weren't expecting, so it's throwing a wrench in everything, pushing everything back. We had one officer who could retire whenever he wanted, and he just chose to say, I'm retiring. So we've got to be able to fill those spots before we can fill a new spot. So, but the spot is ours. We do have the availability. As soon as we have the manpower filled up, and this is coming straight from Captain Utrecht, as soon as we have the manpower, it will be filled.
Cool.
And how dare you challenge the accuracy of my minutes?
Well,
No, he said year and you said month, so I wanted to verify.
he's correct. I said, so that was my last update was, and then we had 2 abrupt retirements, and that threw a wrench in that. So Ryan was correct.
Hopefully we won't keep having
I'm hoping so. I think
retirements.
I'm hoping we are done with retirements for the year, at least as scheduled we are. And we have the new officers going to the academy at a pretty good pace. But it's 17 weeks of training that they have to go through before they come back here. And then we have to put them through patrol training like I do with FTO, which is another 3 to 4 months. So it's a process to get an officer to be able to work and do the job out here. And we have 2 rookies out right now. We're gonna be moving 2 to 4, which is a lot, having 6 new rookies out here being trained. But we could move 2 to 4 within the next month, and that would quicken the process a little bit if we can get that done.
So are we gonna get a newbie?
No,
Okay.
so
So we can get somebody that wants
I've already
that.
put my feelers out for an officer that would fill the spot.
Okay.
I've heard some names and they are not, we will probably have a chance at a newer officer if we want. If you want, sorry, but there is at least 1 or 2 veterans that are interested that, I think would be a good fit up here as well. And again, that is gonna be completely up to you guys on how you wanna go about it. But, I mean, I only had a year and 3 months out on the road when you guys brought me on the first time and took a chance with me, so.
Yeah.
Officer Pedro didn't have a whole lot of traffic experience, but he did have a lot of school experience. So you guys have benefited from newer guys being out here at times, so I would caution just saying we don't want the new guy, cause they might bring something, they might bring the energy, they might have that, something different that helps the community, so. I would say keep an open mind, because we do have a lot of very good rookies coming out now. And they are they get well-trained and they are very motivated, so. And I think with the town growing like we are, we need motivated officers.
Any other questions for Officer Reichert? Moving on, clerk treasurer.
I had my budget workshop with the DLGF on last Monday, the 11th. We have to have the budget advertised by Saturday, the 23rd, to meet the 10-day requirements for the September 2nd public hearing here at Town Hall. So if there's any last minute alterations to the budget, the packet was sent to you guys via email on the 5th of August, so you've had it with you for 3 weeks now, or 2 weeks now. So anything after it is advertised, changes can be made, but changes can only be in the form of reductions. We can't add anything that increases the max levy or anything. I did hit the max levy on the nose this year. We were over each of the last 2 budgets, which didn't hurt us in any way.
So again, what's the date for the cutoff that we cannot add something that would increase?
I have to have it advertised by Saturday, this week, the 23rd.
Okay,
So if you have anything in there that you didn't think was right, or you wanna add anything extra, let me know before the end of the week.
what percentage raises did you put in?
I have nothing in as far as raises, but there is room up to, I'll confidently say 3% to increase based off of what's in there. Now, understand, the majority of what we do for raises comes from the utilities. The only thing that the general fund covers is elected officials, and the only non-elected individual that is paid with general fund money is Hannah.
Okay.
The rest of them are 20% motor vehicle highway, depending upon their position. The girls in the office, those three are all 50-50. Gabe and Darren are 80-10-10 based off of the plant that they oversee. So the motor vehicle highway percentage is really the only one that is impacted by whatever raise amount you give that you're deciding upon. And I feel confident in what is budgeted for motor vehicle highway to handle something smaller than what we've done the past few years. I think we've done 5% the last 2 years. So that line item would probably be the only one that would need some sort of attention if you wanted to do something higher than what we've done in the past. So,
What about any consideration for like a park fund? I know that we haven't gotten anything from them like in writing or even a time frame, but what needs to be done on our end?
yeah, I asked the DLGF that. It's probably something Mike Hawk and I need to sit down and go over, because I feel that with most funds, an ordinance is usually required to establish that fund, and then what we would do as far as creating some income for that fund. I believe it's something that would go as part of taxpayer money, but at what percentage, and those are some things that Mike and I and DLGF might have to sit down and discuss. I don't know, Hannah and I have had some brief conversations on what sort of timeline we're talking with the park potentially being brought over to the town. I don't know if it's on the horizon for next year, 2 years, when is that gonna be, and how the monetary transition would go. Would they spend down to nothing with what they have now and have us start over at nothing?
Right.
A lot of those questions would need answered, but currently, since we don't have a park and we don't really have a plan for an immediate plan to take it over, there isn't any consideration in this budget to do that.
Okay.
But it will certainly be something we can start looking at for 2027's budget as we go forward.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Ryan?
Thank you.
Just a couple of quick things. I wanted to just briefly give an overview. I mentioned it at the last meeting and it slipped my mind. The road closure on Old Lumber Road is kind of how we came to that decision, so you guys know if you hear from neighbors or constituents or whatever it is. So the original closure was posted for the first week of August, with the plan to meet on site halfway through that week to decide if the closure needed to be extended, decide traffic plans, stuff like that. So we met on site with Allen County Surveyor's Office, Town of Huntertown, design engineers, the contractor. We were all there, and the decision was made to extend the closure through when the contractor has their road cut permit pulled through, which is the end of September. Everyone is hopeful that it will open sooner than that, but we wanted, rather than to keep issuing closures and you don't know what they're going to come across as they move to the north, just do it for the full time that permit has been pulled, with the hope to deliver good news and that's opening sooner. We discussed several closure options. We discussed, having a flagged one lane open. We discussed opening the road during school drop-off and pickup times. There was concerns for contractor safety, they're moving, I think they said several thousand pounds of piping, they're massive pipes, I think like 52 inches, something like that, into position along that where the ditch currently is along the line with a very small area for them to work in. So not having the full roadway to stack that pipe and to maneuver that pipe created some safety concerns both for drivers and for the contractor. And then additionally, there was some concern if we opened it at certain times, like 7:30 to 8 or whatever, that would cause resident confusion. If they don't follow our Facebook or whatever, it would feel like an arbitrary opening. If someone's watch was off by 10 minutes, they would assume it was open and it wasn't. People had already established their travel patterns. We'd already communicated well in advance with NACS for what full closure would look like. And we felt like the wait that someone would have to wait at a flagged intersection when they're moving a large pipe would be longer than any sort of traffic on State Road 3. We also communicated with the school throughout the whole process. The district cutoff line for Huntington Elementary is actually Gump Road. So all of the students and buses are coming from the west and the north. So there's no impact, because Woods Road is open, there would be no impact for buses for that direction. It would be parents or anything like that, trying to get students in, which is why when we announced the closure, we urged residents to, during school drop-off and pickup time, to go a little out of their way and utilize Cedar Canyons Road, just because Gump Road backs up so much, to try to keep it as clear as possible. So we're staying in close communication with the surveyor's office and their contractor there. I know our guys are probably on site at least once a day, every day, to make sure things are going well. I think they've crossed the road and they're working at the ditch area right now. It's just really sandy soil and the water table is really high. When we were standing there for our on-site meeting, soil started rushing into the pit that they had dug out just because it's such bad soil. So we're hoping as they move north, the clay table will get higher, the soil will get better, they'll be able to move a little bit faster. But just in case, that's why the closure is so long. So we'll definitely keep residents updated, you guys updated, all that stuff, but we're gonna kind of give a background so you guys know why that decision was made. And we've explored all options, and that unfortunately was the best one for everybody's safety and time. Do you have any questions on that? Okay. If you think of anything, or a resident comes to you with specific questions, pass them my way or anything, apologies. Oh, and I wanna emphasize that all of the businesses on Lime Plank are open and accessible. I know that's been a frequent question. We try to make it clear in the Facebook post, but frequent them, I guess, for the closure.
What about any construction out on highway that the state is doing?
They are
Is there
not.
ever any communication from
They are
them to
not
the town?
required to tell us. When we saw the road closure signs go up on Cedar Canyons, I reached out directly to one of their project managers on the project, and they actually got back to me after the public notice had been posted. So we would have found out later than the public notice. So that was another thing, is when the town approved the road closure, and this county had no knowledge of the road construction on State Road 3. So otherwise it wouldn't be as big of a deal with that. Yeah.
I can't believe this day and age, there's no heads up they can give a municipality for as much as it affects us.
Well, they choose not to. That's the thing, they choose not to.
Yeah, I don't think it's required, because technically we're not required to give them notice when our local road is under construction. Obviously, this is the full length of our town that's under construction right now. It's causing severe traffic issues and everything like that. But because it's a state-owned and operated road, they're not required to tell us a closure.
And we're not the only ones that have been complaining about this, because there's other municipalities that NDOT does this too, and there seems to be a groundswell of frustration, because NDOT will just come in, blow in a china shop, not tell local municipalities that what they're doing, to the state roads, and just come in and just cause a lot of problems. So I know that there's starting to be pushed back somewhat, and so hopefully that will start resonating with NDOT and the right people and letting them know that, you know, to be good partners and work with them in this.
And I don't disagree with the work, I understand it needs to be done.
Yeah.
I'd just like to be able to send out a simple text message on a Sunday night saying, here's what to expect, starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we just saw their
Why is that so hard?
Facebook post and then
I know.
reposted it, and we found out at the same time as
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for texting now.
Yeah, we did post, I don't know if anyone got the message, but we posted the local road closure on the texting app both times, which I think we got less calls than I think we would have otherwise, that's good. The only other thing I wanted to update on was a brief update, I emailed this out on Friday, of the residential yardway site. So you confirmed with the Allen County Surveyor's Office and the MS4 Division of Items that our site is in compliance with all MS4 regulations. They don't have any outstanding concerns regarding the MS4 permit in relation to the yardway site. We had an area composting expert last Monday come out and visit the site. They didn't have any major concerns, but offered some suggestions for like smell and dust mitigation. So the plan would be to combine that with feedback from IDEM required to bring the site into whatever kind of compliance is necessary to get that permit. Combine all the actions at the same time to mitigate any effects from the site. I have reached out to IDEM regarding the permitting requirement. I'll follow up with them at the end of the week if I don't hear from them. It's just a general inbox, so it might take them a little bit to get back to us. And then the plan is just to work with IDEM to submit a properly completed permit and bring the site into whatever compliance is necessary, fencing or coverage of the pile or setbacks or whatever they require. And that is all I have.
Thanks, that looks like a lot of work you guys did for that. Any questions for you and Randy?
Any questions for Hannah? Moving on to engineer report.
Just a quick update. Last week, the water committee got together. Purpose of the meeting was to talk about the capital plan and the continued implementation of the capital plan. It's not my intention tonight to get into the details of what we discussed, but for the next meeting, just to give you a heads up, that'll be a topic of discussion on moving forward with further investment in the water. That's all I have.
Thanks. Thank you. Any questions for Eric? Okay, that closes out reports. Moving on to public comment. If you have public comment, please come to the podium, state your name, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Hi. My name is Megan Rogers. I guess I'm talking myself. Sorry. I live at
3 minutes, sorry.
I live at 1535 Fairway Court, and this is in reference to the compost facility that Hannah was speaking about. I appreciate your feedback on that and all the work that you guys have put into it. I know a couple of you were not here for the last meeting. I came in with all sorts of stuff. However, I just want to tell you that I really appreciate you taking the time to look into this. We did not come in with any ill intent. We just really wanted to be resolved and taken care of, and that's why we came here. Again, I really appreciate that you brought up fencing and, having IDEM come in, because that's ultimately all that we wanted. It's just really important to us that it gets taken care of, and again, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to research. I know at the end of the meeting it kind of got it was a lot of information, but I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I guess all I'm looking for is, do we have any type of timeline as to when this is all going to move forward? What next steps are? Do we need to continue coming to town council meetings? Overall, I guess, I should have asked at the last meeting, but it just kind of ended. What are next steps? What does that look like for us?
Yeah, I think once we get a response from IDEM, we'll have a clearer picture of moving forward, and I have your contact information, I think your email, so I can provide updates as we have those conversations with IDEM to kind of give you a clearer idea, and I'm sure whatever steps we need to take, it'll come before council for the approval or information, so happy to keep you updated as we go through the process.
That would be it.
I have a question. Is there going to be any immediate updates based on the composting expert like you suggested?
Yeah,
Your
his,
suggestions?
one of his suggestions, like, for example, was to cover the pile in wood chips. That would help with odor, help with dust. That's something we can do right away.
And
I
also
don't,
along the fence.
yes, yeah, I don't wanna
Wood
do
chips.
anything, I don't want the town to put a large sum of money in if item comes back that says that doesn't meet requirements, you need to pull it down and change it. So I think there's some, effective low-cost right-of-way options that can get done, like the wood chips and piling wood chips along the fence to mitigate any sort of smell.
Okay,
But I don't wanna, build a structure and then have a setback issue or something big that item would want us to take down or remove or anything like that.
right, okay, good.
Overall, I know that, I've spoken with, I actually spoke with Dirtling as well, and he does more food scrapping and stuff. There were a lot of codes he was also not familiar with, just with the type of composting you guys do. And in response to your email, I know that you had stated something about them turning it, and it smelled, yes, it's very, very bad when they turn it. But actually Tina, I'm so sad she's not here, came out to our house multiple times since the last town council meeting. And every single time it was at night, and she actually was just at our house last night, and it smelled awful. I mean, she came out and she was like, this is awful. This smells awful.
I talked to Tina today and she said it was terrible.
And that was mild.
She
I
said
mean,
none of us would want this in our backyard. You know, it was
it's
bad.
bad, it's bad, and unfortunately I can't bring the smell of a bottle in here for you guys. But you're more than welcome to come and hang out in our backyard for a couple of seconds if you'd like to. But realistically, even the time she's been out, it's been very mild, because it's like cooled off at nighttime, but like during the day, last weekend, our kids didn't even wanna be outside. So we're looking for the pile to be registered, we're looking for a fence to cover up what is going on in there, and not just some ugly fence that, like, this is in our backyard, you guys are talking about, like, what you want container house, like, I want the town of Huntertown to care about that property and what our backyard looks like just as much as these new houses being built, and that's ultimately all I'm asking. So like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time, but what we're looking for is it to be taken care of, and if you could just give me updates, we're happy to come to the meetings every.
We always like residents coming.
Yes,
Yes,
we do.
and we love being here, we've been at the last 3 of them, so, it's nice to be able to interact with you guys and kind of explain to you and give you, our perspective on things, so I'm just hoping that everybody can empathize and we can move in a positive direction.
You're at 1532?
1535.
Fine, okay.
Yes. Yes, and yesterday, actually, Tina came out and she was riding her electric bike and it started pouring down rain. So she got to smell it after it rained too, which is really awful. So, I think if it's registered with IDEM, we came to you guys first because we want things to be made right. We're not here with ill intentions. We're not here to get anybody in trouble or cause problems. We genuinely love living in Huntertown. I've grown up here. We really just are looking for a resolution. I think registering it, putting up a nice fence that looks nice and protects the smell and everything else going on will do wonders for everybody. And it may even make the site look better for people coming to drop off. So, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? Sorry.
Hello, Ryan Miller, 1535 Fairway Court. Megan does a good job about touching all bases, so she's said mainly everything we both feel. I think a lot of it, she touched on, we had a long discussion tonight about how things looked, presenting things, et cetera, in Huntertown. We all want things to look nice, and I think that's important. This site obviously is like, that doesn't pertain to this site currently. That mentality does not pertain to that site. And something that I think that I've kind of noticed is I think that site kind of sets a precedence for homeowners in that area. They think, well, this is Huntertown. This is how Huntertown looks. This is the Huntertown mentality of just kind of let things go. There's concrete tiles that can't be used for anything. They've been here for 20 years. That's from Jeff, the neighbor who's lived there for 20 years. The spreader, I don't think, he said none of that's ever moved or been touched. And I just think it sets a precedence. I actually got poison ivy because I was trimming along someone else's fence row because they just kind of have the same mentality of like, well, it's not that bad, just let it all grow, you know, so, and I kinda come from a different mentality. We moved into the house, it was, in roughish shape. The previous owner kinda had the same mentality as a lot of the other owners in that area, which is to just kinda let things go, you know, and it's always been that way, and you know, I think that is important, you know, and we've kinda seen it we moved in, we've started improving, the front yard, we've improved landscaping, you know, it's, and then we kinda noticed the houses around us, well, now they're kinda out doing some things and picking up some, you know, trash or whatever it is, trimming along, their house finally, so it's.
Right.
It's contagious, I believe, I do believe that, I think cleaning makes people think, you know, I don't wanna be the worst looking house on the block, so let me go out and, you know, maybe pull a couple weeds, so. That's all I have, Megan's touched on, mainly everything else, and appreciate your guys' time and, empathy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? That closes our public comments. Our next meeting will be Tuesday instead of Monday, September 2nd. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned, thank you.
You need to